Next is Robert Sanders and 4D Recovery Youth Center. Robert Sanders is a passionate advocate for recovery and mental health services in Oregon, currently serving as a director of adolescent services at 4D Recovery. He is actively involved in shaping recovery policy as a board member of Oregon Recovers and co-chair of the Addiction Mental Health Policy Advisory Committee for the Oregon Health Authority. Robert's experience and dedication play a vital role in advancing prevention and recovery efforts across the state. Joining him will be Harlow Haynes, Corday Rose, and our guests from 4D's leadership team. So come on up, Robert.
All right, so we had a last minute adjustment. Instead of Corday, we got Alexanne with us today. I want to give a shout out to our youth today for volunteering, stepping up, and contributing back to this event. I also want to acknowledge Bernardino and Lewis for your work getting this all put together, and everybody else that played a part. Before we get started with today's presentation, I want to take a few moments to introduce myself. My name is Robert Sanders, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. For a few moments, I want to take you back to a scene from before I was invited to this stage, before I felt purpose, and before I understood who I really was. Imagine waking up in a place so dark that even the roaches have lost hope. That was me just one day before I found recovery. The day before, I was staying in a cockroach-infested hotel called the Del Rancho on 92nd and Flavel, trying to decide whether this was the end of my story or if I was going to give recovery one last shot. I felt lost and isolated, struggling to figure out where I belonged. And when I first got clean, my family assumed that once the drugs had left my body, they would get the same person back that they had known before. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I entered recovery carrying a heavy load of unresolved trauma from 2 deployments overseas and a deep-seated clinical depression that made me constantly question, do I belong here? After getting through treatment, I met a guy named Adrian, and he asked if I wanted to play basketball. That one simple invitation was a lifeline, one that led to a commitment 3 times a week. He found a way to reach me through a non-clinical approach, through the lived experience that he had, and that is only shared through one addict helping another. On those basketball courts, I found camaraderie among others who understood the struggles that I faced. It was more than just a game, it was a chance to heal. Every time that Adrian would take me back home, after we hit the gym or played a game, he'd ask me questions like, what are you working on this week? Or what's the next thing on your whiteboard? At the time, I didn't understand it, but he was instilling a goal-oriented approach that made me believe I could accomplish anything that I set my mind to. This path led me to become the first college graduate in my family, finding pride in being a present father, a loving husband, and a caring son. And from that dark place, I rose to embrace a future I never thought would be possible. It taught me that no matter how far down we think we are, our futures are limitless. We all have our battles, whether they're with addiction, depression, or simply finding where we fit in. Today, I still have that whiteboard in my office with 3 goals on it. And every day I ask, does my next action get me closer to one of those goals? And I'm grateful for discernment and the ability not to act sometimes. Adrian offered me the opportunity to reclaim my life, and for that, I'm forever grateful to my mentor, who taught me how to help others. So today, as you listen to the stories of others who have reclaimed their lives, I encourage you to reflect on your own journey and consider how your actions can create ripples of hope in someone else's story. Thank you. So, real quick, I'm going to briefly cover a couple slides, and then I'm going to pass it over to my coworker, Harlow. Our mission at 4D is to create a future where systems, communities, and individuals work together to ensure all people can access the resources necessary to find sustained recovery from alcohol and substances. Our mission is to provide, in partnership with systems, communities, and individuals, a variety of recovery support services for people from 14 to 35. We have one more staff member that's not on here, but it's really a team effort. And it starts with Harlow setting the tone in the community center and establishing a safe place for the kids to come. It starts with Alex and Corday meeting with clients one-on-one and setting those goals and coming up with plans that are going to work for them. It starts with Jesse creating events and listening to the community and being responsive to what they want to see. And so everything that we do at the center comes back to our youth and the kids over there, that they show up to a weekly meeting and they say, hey, this is what we want to do. These are the activities we want to see. I think that wall would look better if it was blue. Like, it's whatever they want. We try to create a reflective space that matches their ideals and values. And so I want to talk a little bit about our leader development team. Right now, like I said, they sit on the Recovery Activities Committee, and they design the events that they would like to see. They also host the meetings and recovery skills workshops, and we try to give them some information and point them in the right direction, but really the successes that we're going to get to later on in the slides are really a reflection of their dedication. Youth end up becoming the guides to other people as they get acclimated with the space. We are working on starting our civic engagement portion, where we go out into the community and we have the kids pick projects that mean a lot to them and they contribute back to society. And I think just last week, somebody on this stage made a recommendation that we get a resource closet so we can hand out free food and free clothes to everybody that comes in. And we're learning how to send out those request letters and get community partners. And so we do a lot of things. And my goal at the end of it is that I want to provide an experience where we do enough professional development to where when they graduate from Harmony Academy or Rivercrest, they can step into the workforce and start mentoring the people coming behind them. All right. So if you guys have heard me speak, you've heard me say this before. In the state of Oregon, there is 37,000 kids that are struggling with substance use disorder, including alcohol. In 2023, there was roughly 36 operational treatment beds, and that is unacceptable. We have one recovery community center for kids in Oregon, and currently there are 2 recovery high schools. Thanks to some good work from OHA and our legislative branch, there are more coming online. So I want to give a big thank you to them. We all know that there is a lot of problems. There's a lot of headlines. There's a lot of awareness around this issue. Sometimes there's a lack or a delay in action when it comes to our kids. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Some people think that certain things fall under ODE. Some people think it falls under OHA. At this point, I don't really care who it falls under. I just want the kids to get help. So in 2013, we started in a warehouse born out of young people in AA, and we were just a spot for people to come and play pool and maybe have an event or a dance or something. Over the next couple years, we realized that we could do more with that. We got mentorship from people like Eric Martin, and we realized that we could provide peer services to people and move beyond just simply sponsoring people. From 2016 to 2020, we opened up a second center. We continued to develop internally, learn how to record things accurately and help other organizations get off the ground. And then in 2021, we did do that. So now we currently have 4 recovery centers open. We support a bunch of orgs. We have supported some public health initiatives. And last July, we finally launched our Adolescent Recovery Center. This year, we're working on expanding into Washington State. We have just launched our young adult treatment services with plans to launch young adult IOP for the kids, and residential treatment for the kids. So we'll have those coming on, and it won't require insurance to get in. So there's that. We are also working on expanding supportive housing in the state of Oregon. So once again, thank you to our legislative branch for doing a lot of work there. And I think Multnomah County Health has helped a little bit with that as well. So a basic overview of our services. We provide that social support. We provide an environment where kids can help each other figure out what their why is. Why do you want to stay clean? What do you want to work on? What is going to get your buy-in? We are now building out our family support, which looks like me meeting with the kids' parents as they come into services. Our mentors will set goals with the youth. I'll set goals with the parent, and over a period of time, hopefully those things start to get closer and closer. I want to say thank you to Megan McAvoy, who's somewhere in here, for holding down the family portion of our services for the last year with the invitation to change groups, which are available to anybody in the community, any parent in the community that needs help. So if you need that information, please go to our website. It will redirect you to her link. But I've seen it make a difference. I believe that the stat that we have on here later says that 82% of our youth and families have improved relations throughout their services. So it's really because of those efforts over there. We know that 4D recovery and peer support services are not the only solution, which is why partnerships are vital to what we want to do, especially in a fractured system, especially for the one that the kids have in the state. And so we openly seek partnership opportunities. If there's anybody in this room that wants to work with us, please hit me up. My email will be at the end of this. And I'm going to pass it over to Harlow.
Hi, I'm Harlow Haynes. I'm the Community Center Director at the Youth Center, so the 4D Adolescent Center. And so Robert touched on this, but yeah, kind of what we're focused on is helping develop that recovery capital. And so that's different for every one of our clients, and so we really tried to help them, realize that recovery can look like whatever they want it to be, and connect them with those resources. And so we have like a whole resource board that we're constantly adding to, working with different community partners. I've seen some of y'all here today, and are just trying to build a cohesive network of organizations that we know, that we're like not just sending them to this, organization that we heard of. We're trying to build those connections so that we know exactly how to get them connected, so it's not just us sending them some link or something. So try to create that network. And then one of the biggest things that we do, or one of the most important things I see is having that space for community. And we'll show you guys our community center in like a little virtual tour. But we try to have a safe, sober space for our teens. And so kind of make that whatever they want it to look like. I'll show you some of our promotional materials, but it's directed by our clients over there. So here's some of our services. So this is just an overview. We offer peer mentorship, so all of our peer mentors have lived experience in recovery, and just help them realize that recovery pathway and whatever that looks like for them. We host meetings, and all of our meetings are run by the teens. So, they'll be like, oh, I want an NA meeting on Friday. We're like, okay, let's make it happen, and work with them to make it, in a time that they think, their friends will show up, and have a flyer that's interesting to them. Events, these are created by the teens. So, like that leadership team Robert was talking about, they just tell us what they're wanting to see that month. So this past month we went to a pumpkin patch. We're having a Halloween party this weekend, and we're like, okay, what do you guys want to see at the Halloween party, and try to incorporate that in whatever way we can. And then that family support as well is so integral. Some of our flyers. So we always work in partnership with our clients to develop things that will be appealing to their friends, and so we have a Marijuana Anonymous meeting, had a Recovery Dharma meeting. MJ's meeting is that Revival Recovery, one of our most popular every Tuesday. And yeah, just kind of, they come to us with an idea and we do our best to make that happen. So here is our space. This is our entryway. We got our little PlayStation over there, constantly playing Fortnite and Gang Beasts and whatever they're playing that day. It kind of cycles, but our flyers, we got community resources and have our schedule for the week. This is our study room, one of our newer rooms in the space. They were kind of saying that they wanted, a quieter space, and so because it can get kind of rowdy in the center, and so yeah, have our computers for them to do schoolwork on, and a little community table. This is our art room, probably the most popular room besides the video game area. Have art supplies. Lots of canvases and materials to collage, and they'll come to us and be like, oh, I want this kind of paint, and make that happen. This is our meeting room, so this is where most of the meetings happen. Just a few weeks ago, a client, a participant came up to us and said, can I spray paint this wall? And I'm like, yeah, just show me what you're gonna put on the wall and you can do it. And so they did that one over to the right, and yeah, it's so cool seeing the space kind of evolve as people come into recovery and realize that they can make it what they want. This is what we call the big room. Got our speakers over there, pool table, over there, that little computer. That's where they control the Spotify. So we have Spotify Premium and got a little microphone, so they're constantly doing karaoke like every single day. So yeah, there's not really a karaoke day, it's just every day is karaoke day. Yeah, and then kind of going into the statistics of the services we provide. Demographics, so 59% of our clients identified as LGBTQIA2S+, and then 37% identified as BIPOC. Some of the outcomes, we've served 80 participants, providing 5,475 hours of services, and that's since last July. And 35% of our participants have reduced their nicotine use, 80% have improved their family relations, 93.75% are engaged in school, 36.25% found jobs, and 16 youth have gotten their permit or license while in services. And then 97.5% reported making progress on their self-determined goals. Yeah, and like Robert said, we're the facilitators. We have this space and are able to provide a way to make this happen, but they're the ones putting in the work. So I just want to shout them out for putting in the effort in their recovery. And then getting connected with services. So just how, if you're in the Portland metro area, we serve all 3 counties. We provide transportation. That's an integral part of our services because a lot of our clients don't have ways to get to the center or get home. And so we facilitate that transportation. We make it happen. Washington, Clackamas, Multnomah County, we'll always make sure that they have a ride home. But if you're wanting to get connected with services, 4D website, if you go to this little under services where it says adolescent services, and then get a youth mentor. That referral form goes straight to me and Robert, and then we'll reach out as soon as possible. And yeah, this is our recovery skills workshops, which we're developing right now. Ashley actually does a lot of those, and they're peer-led, so we're helping facilitate these, but participant-driven. So they're letting us know what they're wanting to see, and we're not telling them you have to go to this thing, you have to go to this thing. It's just we're making these workshops to help them have more tools in their tool belt. And then the parent support groups, like Robert was talking about, Megan facilitates those invitation to change groups. And so they're open to any parents. The parents are their kids don't have to be enrolled in our services. They can just come in. Half of them, it's every other week, 1 week in person, 1 week virtual. And yeah, it's really cool seeing that group flourish as well. Not a lot of places for those parents to go. So thank you, Megan. Yeah, more peer support. So needed. And so now I'm going to pass it off to Alex for a conversation with our youth leaders. I got these questions.
All right. Kayla, what motivated you to start your recovery journey?
What motivated me to start my recovery journey was my little brother. I have a 4-year-old brother, and I always wanted to be that person that my mom couldn't be. And after a while, I realized that I started to abandon him for drugs. And I think after I really, really saw that me and him disconnected and I wasn't like that person for him, it hit. But I also thought, well, now that I'm already gone, I didn't need to get better. But I think when I found 4D is one of the places that really helped me. There was a past mentor that knew. I mean, I could sit there and lie all day, but he knew. And I mean, in my opinion, I was a pretty good liar. But I guess I wasn't. And I think just having someone there accepting me after I relapsed was something that I needed. Because it was always like, oh, you used again? Now like you're not part of my life, or I don't ever want to talk to you again. And that was kind of like my family. And I think after having just people there with open arms and accepting me for who I am, and now for who I want to be, is something that really changed my life. And I can say, like, without 4D, I wouldn't be here today. I'd probably be dead. And I can really stand on my life with that. So I really appreciate 4D.
Can you describe a turning point that made you realize that you needed to change?
Hold on. There we go. It's full battery. Okay. I'll give you a little backstory. I grew up in a family of addiction. So as a child, that's all I knew. And so I thought it was normal. Oh, okay. Is it working? Okay. And I thought as a kid that addiction, everybody had it. And it really hurt me as a kid because that's all I wanted to do. And that's something I was like wanting to be interested in because that's what I knew. Let's see. Growing up, I was always in Oxford House, either homeless or in a car, all my life. I didn't have really shelter in my life. I didn't have foundation that I can just express myself, to allow to be a kid. I didn't have a childhood. And my mom was always gone, so I'd always have to take care of my sister. About middle school is when I fell down into a pit hole. And my stepfather actually is in addiction too, and he wanted to kill himself. And I remember my parents are arguing, and I see him try to hang himself in the closet. And it brought me down to this whole like pit hole. I ran away from home ninth grade, the beginning of ninth grade. And a person had asked me if I've ever done meth. And I was like, I won't touch it because that's my mom's drug of choice. That's my entire family's drug of choice. I know what it does, but I did it because I wanted to see why she chose that drug over her own children. And at first I didn't like it, but it kept humbling. Oh, I'm gonna do it again, see if I get a different effect. I'm gonna do it again if I feel better. And it was like that for a long time. And I felt terrible. And my mom was so focused on my stepdad, she didn't realize that I was gone. And it hurt. She didn't care. It almost felt like she chose him over her own kids again. And it sucked. Going into sophomore year, I found 4D. My mom was like, you're either going into treatment or you're going to 4D. You're one of the two. You're going to get help. I remember seeing MJ and Charlotte and all those people, and I was so uncomfortable. I was like, oh my gosh, I had red hair. I was like, I don't fit this place. But they opened me with welcome hands. Like they embraced me with all they had. And it was a turning point and towards that, because I was like, I can't show my sister that it's just going to be a cycle and she's next. I can't do that. No, I can't name a person in my, family except for my sister that hasn't used. And that sucks. And I want to show her that it can change and it is possible. And I went to a meeting with one of my mom's friends, and somebody that was in their 20s thought it was impossible as a teenager to get clean. And I went to the center and I started getting clean and sober for myself. Yes, I had relapses, and relapse is a part of my story, but did I give up? I didn't. I kept trying and trying. Yeah, that was one of the most turning points for me. I was able to gain a community, and I'm coming up on a year soon. Thank you.
Maddie, can you share a moment that made you feel proud of your progress?
I'd say one of the moments that made me feel the most proud of my progress is just seeing the people that I've helped get sober, see them collect their chips, and at my meeting be able to give them those chips. It means a lot to me to see the people that I helped out be able to achieve that. I grew up in recovery as well. I grew up in the rooms. Whenever my dad would be around, I'd go with him. And my mom passed away from drugs. So, it's just kind of been like seeing everyone in my family as well either be addicted to drugs or alcoholics. You just don't really believe that recovery is possible, because I had never seen it, or at least I had never seen it work for them. Like, they would get clean for so long and then they would go back. And it was just kind of like a cycle over and over again, but I was able to break that cycle and get clean for myself. And now I'm sitting on a little over a year.
Kayla, how have your relationships with friends and family changed since you began your journey?
I'm a kid of the system, so I don't really talk to my biological family. But I can say that I do have a chosen family, and I have a family that took me in when I had nothing. I have friends now. I have friends that don't use me for money or use me to just get a little fucking pill. I actually have friends that care about me, and I have friends that I can care for. And I think that's something that really showed me, like, that, I don't know, just like seeing that people actually care about me, it was different. But I love it. I love it so much. And like, today, me and my little brother are inseparable. He is my favorite human, and I just can't wait to see what my life brings. I'm really, really happy to be here. And I can say if it literally wasn't for my friends, 40, or my little brother, I cannot say this enough, like, I wouldn't be here. And I think that's such a big thing, and especially having just people around me is a big thing. And I would not trade it for anything else. So.
Ashley, what advice would you give someone just starting the recovery journey?
You all heard this. One day at a time. Sorry, I had to. A lot of people told me that. Don't rush yourself into recovery because everybody else is doing it. I learned that the hard way, and it's difficult. You see your friends or family members going into recovery, and you're like, I want to get sober too, but you rush yourself, and you're not giving yourself enough time between recovery and your own self-being, and allowing yourself to go into it on your own free will instead of forcing yourself into it. Don't force yourself. It's one sentence. I don't know. But yeah, I wish I knew that in the beginning, because that did cause to my relapse. Was I went into recovery because I wanted to follow what everybody else was doing, and I didn't do it for myself, and I found a reason to get sober for myself, and now I am sober. But no matter how old you are, how young you are, if you feel like you don't fit in recovery, recovery's for everybody. And it doesn't have a label on it either. It is what it is. And I say that as it's a community where everybody can just hold hands together and say the serenity prayer. Everybody can hold hands and share the same backstory in different fonts. And I say different fonts because we all have some form of trauma, something in our life that brought us to addiction and is traumatic to us. I always like to think nobody's trauma is better than anybody else's. You may think, I went through so much worse than this other person, but to them, that is equal as what you went through. And it's one of the things I had to learn the most. And I feel like it is one of the hardest things to understand, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, I went through this much and I got sober because of it, but you've only got that much, you know? We are all a family. And everybody, if you look at the surface, it's all up to the surface. We all suffer the same thing, and that is a disorder, which is substance use. So we're all family here. And don't rush yourself into recovery, because you'll find it on your own time, and it is possible. Thank you.
Maddie, how do you stay motivated when you encounter setbacks?
I mostly think about, like the people that I care about and the people that I've helped out. I like to think about my little sister, just showing her that, like recovery is possible and she doesn't have to stay where she's at. And just trying to be like the best person that I can be for everyone that I love and care about. My cousin told me when she gave me a 1-year chip that, I only have to ever collect that once. And I intend to only ever have to collect it once.
Kayla, in what ways has your perspective on life changed since you began recovering?
I want to live. And that's something that I didn't want for the longest time. I used to die. That's what I wanted. And I don't want to anymore. And I think I found that I have purpose and that I have a life. I'm worth so much more than all that other stuff. And I don't have to sit there and do something that I don't want to do because my family does it, or because someone that I love does it, or because I don't want to feel my emotions. And I'm now a very emotional person. I don't like that sometimes, but I think just like being able to sit and like think about how I'm sad or how I'm mad is hard. But at the same time, I'm very grateful that I can even sit and say that I'm mad. Like, and say that I'm sad, or now I'm happy. And it is like such a blessing, and I'm just happy that I'm here today, because I know so many people that haven't been able to be here today. And I mean, I'm just happy that like I have friends that are still here. And as many people that I've lost, I think about them. And I think about how if they didn't get this chance, like if they were still here, would they want to do this? Would they want this for me? And I'm living on for them too.
Right. Ashley, what are your goals for the future now that you're on this path?
I have a dream that I want to build a community for teenagers and young adults to just come as a community and not have to be judged to be in a meeting that is specialized for older people. I don't know if I phrased that right. Sorry. But I want to be a person that helps young adults and children, because I know what I went through, and I know that my past and my experience can help another person recover. So I want to work for 4D. That's my dream and what I want to accomplish in life, because I know how much it helped me, and if I can be a mentor to help another person, that would mean the world to me, because that's all I want. Because I wish that, I had somebody who cared for me. And so when I found 4D and they cared for me and they loved me and they didn't care what I went through, I want to be that person for another and show them that, hey, I'm here for you. And I'm opening my arms so you can just run to me and I can help you. And I'll wait and sit there for you until you crawl back to me and say, hey, I want help. Because I had that done to me. Yeah. This is my friend Maddie. I found her. And, oh my God, I'm really nervous. But she's helped me a lot in recovery. We both didn't like each other in the beginning of our friendship. We were really mean to each other. And we just kind of got sat in a car together. And we're like, we have a lot in common. And then ever since then, she's been over almost every day. So, yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
Maddie, what role has support from others played in your recovery?
Having a community is one of the best things I could have asked for in my recovery, because you can't do it alone. I've been told that so many times, and I didn't really believe it until I was in rehab, and there was only one other girl, and I hated her with everything in me, And so I tried to do it alone. It just wasn't possible. I didn't want to be there. I was getting in fights all the time. So eventually I got out and I went back to using, and that's when I started going to Harmony. And I was still using then because I still didn't think that recovery was possible. And then I started seeing people do it, like MJ. MJ was one of my biggest supports when I first got there, even though he didn't remember my name for like the first month. But he showed me 4D, and by that I mean he dragged me there. And I really didn't want to go because I was scared, but I got met by Robert and an old mentor, and they took me to a little room and had me do an intake, and I was withdrawing during my intake, and I just was not ready for any of it. But I ended up finding community there because I kept getting texts on my phone like, "Are you coming?" And I was like, "No." And then eventually I just was like, "Hey, can you come pick me up?" And about a month later, I was able to get sober, and I'm so thankful for 4D, because if it wasn't for that community and the support from 4D and Harmony, I probably wouldn't be here. So thank you guys.
Kayla, how do you celebrate your milestones and achievements in recovery?
With 40. If I'm gonna be honest. Well, I got a cake for my 60 days. The way that I celebrate my milestones is just being around the people that I love and the people that love for me and care about me. 40 goes all out. Like, they go all out. And yeah, I mean, I just celebrated with the people that I know that would just be there to support me. And I know, like, this time, especially being sober, going up and grabbing those chips meant a lot to me. Because I could say that I was sober, but yeah, I was sober from one drug, but I was still doing something else. And that was sober in my head a while ago. And after, like, now sitting here being able to say, like, I'm sober from everything, except nicotine, everything. And it's awesome. It's awesome. And yeah, I just love the fact that I can say I'm fully sober now. And I don't have to sit here and lie and put up a front saying, I did good, I'm awesome. And I think that's like the best part.
I think that's about all the time we have. I don't know if we have a little bit of time for some questions. Yeah, if there's any questions from the audience.
Or want your program to expand
Hello?
in the future?
Robert has been working really hard to get different centers in the Tri-County area, because just we're so limited on transportation. That's like one of the biggest challenges day to day. We provide those rides, but it can get a little hard if there's clients out in like Hillsborough or Forest Grove, and then also like Damascus and Oregon City, and so yeah, that's something we're wanting to do, is have those centers all over first the Tri-County area, so that people have access to centralized support in their area, because besides on our end, the transportation, getting the clients home, parents also don't have time to drive 30 minutes, an hour into Portland to drop off their kids at our center, so having the access to those things, and yeah, I think Robert has something to say.
And And I've really loved working with Harmony over the last year. It's been a very natural relationship, but we know that Portland Public Schools also has a need, right? And I think one of the ways that we could expand is to partner with them and people like Mary Crow and have outreach workers that can go and present all around the Portland metropolitan and hopefully south and east and north as we expand. But really, we want to make sure that we are as accessible as we can be for everybody. And it's kind of hard with very limited staff being able to do that. We've been able to braid some funds together to create a team. But as many people in this room know, there's not a budget line for youth services. So we got to figure that out. In addition to that, we're going to continue as we bring our clinical services online to create an integrative model where our residential centers kind of funneling people into our peer recovery centers, and our outpatient is funneling people in too, and we're creating that sense of community throughout the entire stay. So as those services come online, we're going to determine where people's needs are. We're going to get them connected with the services that they need in that moment, and then they can continue to build their foundation at the centers for the long term.
I don't really have a question. I just want to say that all of you up there are absolutely amazing, and you've had us old ladies over here crying, but I work at MHAO, and I went to the gala, the 4D gala, and that is my favorite event of the year that happens in Portland. So you guys are doing such good work, and something I wish that had been around when I was a youth. Maybe my life wouldn't have turned out the way it did. Although today it's amazing, almost 15 years clean. But yeah, just good job, you guys, and yeah, I'm so proud of you.